What's good, my peoples? I'm not making that a new intro at all. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for supporting so far. This is just a quick update as to where we are physique-wise. So, training this week has been absolutely phenomenal. And one of the reasons what makes it phenomenal for me was because I hit a definitive day yesterday where under normal circumstances, I would have decided not to go. And really and truly, the only reason why I did make it into the gym was because I made a solid promise to the guys that I'm training with that I would turn up. So yeah, yesterday was a very challenging day. Had very little sleep, and the sleep that I had was quite broken. The day was very full on, and so it meant my energy levels just weren't there. And I only had, I went to bed at like just before 10, which is unusual for me. Woke up at about 12-ish, thereabouts. Dozed off again, woke up again about 1:30, and then that was it. I was awake I was editing videos. I was awake from 1:30 right the way through. So when the alarm went off at 4 o'clock, believe me, I was cursing, and I was cursing my way out the house, cursing my way into the car, cursing my way down the drive to the gym, all the way up into the gym door. So glad that I went, because it was an absolutely phenomenal session as normal, but was an absolute chore getting myself out of the house and to the gym. So yeah, so massive, like, I'm over the moon that I did it. I definitely feel a lot better in myself training wise now. I'm starting to feel a bit like the old me when it comes to my attitude around training and getting to the gym and just doing the work. And I've loved the sessions that we've come up with this week, because they have been crazy intense. Still picking up like really heavy weight, which really works for me. But the intensity has been mad. So like even the arm session we had today, like sweat is just literally dripping and rolling. So I have got a bit of a confession to make though. Although I said I was introducing cardio this week, I haven't made it. I've done cardio probably about 3 times this week. So 3 half-an-hour stints, steady state cardio. So not over the moon with that aspect, but tried to mitigate a bit by turning the heat up in terms of the actual work that's done in the sessions. And to be honest, looking at my physique in the mirror while we're training, this and the other, it's all starting to shift again, and it's all still keeping that same momentum. So weight wise, I think the last video check-in I had, I was 104 point something. This week we've settled at 103 point, bounces in between 103.3, 103.6. I have started, and this is not something I'd advocate with everybody, particularly for my OCD head, getting on the scales daily works for me. I think in that respect, for anyone that's watching this and you're managing your own transformation journey, you've really got to work out where your head's at around the details of things like the digits on the scales. Various clients of mine I've had in the past, I have banned them from getting on the scales, because when the scales takes a dip in the wrong direction, it takes a serious dip to their mentality. For me, it does the opposite. So when I see the scales moving in a direction that I'm not comfortable with, it forges an extra bit of fire for me. When I come into the gym the next day, I'm going at it with a bit more vigor because of that. And that's why, for myself, getting on the scales daily works, because it allows me to track things and monitor things on a micro level. What I would say to anyone watching this, particularly when it comes to the scales, any which way that you want to, whether it's your weight going up or your weight coming down, it never moves up or down in a linear line. It always looks like a bit of an ECG trace. So on its way to getting heavier, on its way to getting lighter, it will go in peaks and troughs on its way down. And that's what I mean about getting on the scales daily. If your mentality isn't not necessarily like mine, but configured in a way whereby the down days can be used as fuel. If you're the type of person, you can be honest with yourself and go, right, well, when I have a down day, it puts down day on the scales. It means I have a down day in general. Then my advice to you will be to not get on the scales daily. Mitigate that weigh into a weekly, maybe even a fortnightly sort of check-in type basis. And also don't forget to monitor everything else, so it's not just the weight, because as you will find as you go through this and your body starts to change, the scales may not reflect what you now start to see happening in the mirror. Like, say for argument's sake, for myself, I know my body fat's dropping by how vascular I am, particularly when I'm training. So as the more vascular I get and the more veins that show up, I know my body fat's dropping. But if you take a look at the scales isn't necessarily reflecting that. Now, I can only do that and see that through years of taking my body weight up and taking it down and doing the various different bits and pieces. So it gives me that kind of insight to understand that if you're newer in this sort of gym journey, or you're new in your lifespan in the gym, then you may not get that, and you'll be relying on the scales. And if you're relying on just the scales, then the scales can sometimes give you a false truth. Can give you a false truth. And basically what I'm trying to say here is that when it comes to defining how you look, the scales is not the only measurement to take into consideration. You've also got to take into consideration various other bits. So this week, not going to change much at all. So the cardio, I am going to force myself out there, so we get at least half an hour cardio in, so I can monitor the changes in that across the basis of the week. Diet-wise, not introducing a strict diet as yet, but I am tightening it up very slightly to make sure that there's no deviances. Last week there were a couple of trips to places I'm not going to mention, but there are a couple of food cheats in there that were outside of what I'm comfortable with. So we're going to make sure that those don't happen this week, and then we're going to see what happens at the end of next week, and then see if there's any changes that you want to bring in. To be honest, off the back of it, I feel I want to try and keep my food and calories quite high and quite varied. So I'm not really in a hurry to go necessarily straight into a strict diet. And to be honest, I'd like to do it without doing that. So I'm more likely to play about with intensity of workout. So bringing in harder stuff, bringing in more reps, more sets, reduced rest periods, increased time under tension, increased cardio, different types of cardio. I'm more likely to play about with that than I am necessarily the food. I think for me and my body type, it works better that way. And so, yeah, it's not playing about the food and bringing it into an absolutely strict diet is probably going to be the last resort that I would use against a whole array of other tactics that can be put into play. But anyway, so that's where we're at this week. Time for a quick physique check. So this is where I'm at now. And I think in this instance here, just to give you guys some perspective, I don't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to put in the picture that caused me to go enough's enough. So I call it the Fat Andrew picture. I'll put it up here. But this is me now. So as you can see, things are starting to tighten up. Very happy with the progress so far. Really interested to see what next week brings. As I said, main focus will be cardio next week, and maintaining, maybe increasing the intensity of actual weight sessions themselves. But yeah, that'll be it. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. If you guys have got any questions about what I'm doing, or in fact your own journeys, whether that be a weight loss, weight increase in muscle size, whether you're training for a specific event, then got any queries, drop me a line, drop me a DM, drop me a comment down there. I'll respond to everything that comes through. But in the meantime, you guys stay strong, you stay focused, have a fantastic week. If you're living in the UK, we are experiencing some sunshine. So get out there and enjoy it. Take care.